Hi everyone. So welcome to Max Measure. Today we are starting an exciting series on probability. So let's dive in and explore this fascinating series. And let's firstly understand what is probabilities. So probability means likelihood. It means likely to be true or not true. So probability is a concept that helps us measure the likelihood of something happening. In simple terms, it tells us how likely an event is to occur or not occur. And you people might have heard words like probably, chances, or most likely. So these words express uncertainty and are directly connected to the concept of probability. So probability helps us quantify this uncertainty and make informed decisions about events that could happen in the future. And the measurement of uncertainty of an event is called the theory of probability. So it forms the foundation for predicting outcomes in various scenarios from daily life to a complex scientific studies. So for instance, if you are deciding whether to carry an umbrella, so based on weather forecast that says there is a 70% chance of rain, so that 70% is a probability. So it reflects the likelihood of rain occurring, but there is a still 30% chance it might not rain. So let's dive into an example to understand the concept of outcomes and events more clearly. So when we perform an experiment like tossing a coin, so the result is called an outcome. So for instance, if you toss a coin once, there are two possible outcomes, head or tail. So these are what we call the outcomes of the experiment. So now what happens if you toss two coins? The possible outcomes expands. You can get so both heads, a head followed by a tail followed by a head, or both tails. So the collection of some favorable outcomes is known as event. An event is simply a collection of favorable outcomes. For example, so if you are interested in the event of getting at least one head, and when two coins are tossed, the favorable outcomes are head, head tail, and tail head. So now that we know about outcomes and events, let's talk about how we can calculate the probability of an event. So the probability is a way to quantify how likely an event is to occur. It defines as the ratio of number of favorable outcomes to the total number of possible outcomes. So in mathematical terms, we write this as so P of E equals to number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of possible outcomes. So here P of E is the probability of event E. So the numerator represents the number of outcomes that favor the event happening, and the denominator is the total number of possible outcomes. And here E is the event and P is the probability. So in simple terms, probability measures how likely an event is to happen. So it can range from 0 to 1, where P equals to 0 means the event will never happen. So if P equals to 1 means the event is certain to happen. So if P lies between 0 and 1 means um, so the probability is uncertain, like the event can be happen or may not happen. So for example, in a fair coin toss, there are two possible outcomes, head and tail. If we are interested in event of getting a head, the probability is P of head equals to favorable outcome divided by number of favorable outcome divided by total number of possible outcomes. So here number of favorable outcome is 1 because we need only head, and the total number of outcomes is 2. So when we toss a coin, we will get two possible outcomes, that is head or tail, which will be equals to that is 1 by 2, which is nothing but 0.5. So it defines like probability is 0.5 means the event is uncertain means the any event can occur means head or tail. So there is a 50-50 chances of occurring. So now that we understand probability, so let's explore the difference between equally likely and unequally likely outcomes. So equally likely outcomes occur. So when the likelihood of outcomes can be equal or unequal. So equally likely outcomes occur when each outcome in an event has same chance of happening. So here are few examples. So there are two possible outcomes. So let's take an example of tossing a fair coin. So there are two possible outcomes, head or tail. So each has probability of 0.5, meaning both outcomes are equally likely to occur. So let's take another example like rolling a fair die. So a fair six-sided die has 6 faces, each with an equal chances of landing face up. So the probability of rolling any specific number, that is from 1 to 6, is 1 by 6. So let's take another example like drawing a card from well shuffled deck. So a well shuffled deck of 52 cards has 52 possible outcomes, and each card is equally likely to be drawn. The probability of drawing any specific card is 1 by 52. So let's understand unequally likely outcomes. Unequally likely outcomes occur when different outcomes have different probability of happening. So here are few examples. So let's take an example of lottery drawing. So in a lottery draw, the chances of winning are much lower compared to the to other possible outcomes. So the probability of winning is significantly smaller than the probability of losing. So the outcomes are unequally likely. So it means if 1,000 people buy a lottery ticket, among them only one will going to be the winner. So remaining people will going to be the losers. So here the probability of winning is low compared to probability of losing. So drawing, let's take another example like drawing marbles from a bag with unequal counts. So if a bag contains 3 red marbles and 2 blue marbles and 1 green marble, so the likelihood of drawing a red marble is higher than drawing a green marble, making the outcome unequally likely. So here the conclusion is the key difference is that with equally likely outcomes, every outcome has the same chance, while with unequal likely outcomes, some outcomes are more likely than others. So we have covered some fundamental concepts. So in further videos, we will going to cover some more fundamental concepts or basic concepts in the probability. So until that, be tuned, subscribe this channel, and thank you for watching.